So it has officially been 1 year since I stopped taking Roaccutane, which is absolutely mind-boggling, and I feel like it's absolutely flown by. Now, I've made a few videos about my journey with Roaccutane, but I thought I would sort of pile them all into one video because I get a lot of questions, so I thought I would just answer all the questions in this video, as well as kind of say the things that I never said, and also talk about the 1 year since I haven't been on Roaccutane and what that has been like for me. So first and foremost, when I first started taking Roaccutane, which was almost 2 years ago now, which is mind-boggling because it feels like when you're in it, it feels so all-consuming, like it's going to be forever. So when I first started taking it, the doctor first prescribed me 10 milligrams a day. I was on 10 milligrams a day for about a month and a half, and then they upped me to 20 milligrams a day. That was basically based on the fact that my skin was reacting a lot, and I got like really bad breakouts, so they thought that the treatment was working. I then ended up going on 20 milligrams a day for a month, then they upped me to 40 milligrams a day. That was for about 2 months. Then it upped to 60 milligrams a day for another 2 months, and then I upped to 80 milligrams a day until I had reached the maximum doses that you're supposed to have in order for the treatment to be as effective as possible. Now, when I spoke to my doctor, they advised me that you need to have at least 1 gram of Roaccutane or isotretinoin in your system at once in order for it to be most effective. So I had to have 8 grams in total of Roaccutane before I could stop taking it to make sure that it was as effective as possible, because the research shows that if you reach that maximum dosage, then the likelihood of relapsing, i.e. getting loads of spots again once you stop, reduces significantly. Now obviously in my experience, I'm super lucky and I didn't get a relapse. So whether it's due to that or whether it's just because I was able to cure the problem, I don't know, but I would obviously always recommend to follow the advice of the dermatologist that you are seeing at the time. Now obviously the most important thing to address is, which I get most questions about, is the joint and muscle pain that I had whilst I was on Roaccutane, as well as the amount of muscle mass I lost or body weight that I lost during this time. Now, as someone who does sport and as someone who is like a very active person, this was the part of my life that was most affected, that was like the most difficult to deal with, because in my experience, so the first I'd say up until I had about 2 to 3 grams in my system, so the first 4 to 5 months wasn't that bad. Like I was pretty much able to continue with all of the training that I was doing before without being too affected. I did find that I was a little bit more tired, but as for like muscle and joint pain, didn't really experience anything, and my body weight sort of stayed the same. So for the first 4 or 5 months, didn't really have any problems. After I had like 2 grams above in my system, that's when I started to really feel mainly really fatigued, like really tired, like I couldn't recover from just like general day-to-day life, let alone training. But then also for me, what I found was that my experience was that I lost a lot of like explosive power, and found that like I couldn't be explosive and couldn't do explosive things, which obviously is a huge thing when you are doing like, if you're doing powerlifting, weightlifting, any sort of strength training. So that was like the biggest thing. And I also found that as the time went on, the joint pain and muscle pain got more and more intense, but I found it more to be like less of like a sharp pain and more of like dull aches. Like my body just felt constantly chronically tired and really like sore, but it wasn't like a chronic ache. It was just like, it wasn't chronic pain, it was just like a chronic ache in my whole body, which made me feel really even more tired than before. So as for like pain, it wasn't like the kind of pain that we know day to day. It was more of like an ache that you can't get rid of, that it's just always there. Now, as for the strength side of things, naturally, because I was more tired and because I lost all of my explosiveness and because I had like that muscular ache, I did pretty much lose all of my strength. Like I was working at less than 50% of what I was capable of doing prior to being on the treatment. That was from, like I said, from about 4 months all the way until I finished my treatment. I was like not really training properly because I felt like I wasn't able to. That's not to say that I didn't have some days where I did feel good and I was able to train, but the majority of it was overshadowed by the fatigue, the muscular aches, and the pain that came with that. When people have been asking me, can I continue going to the gym if I am taking Roaccutane, if I'm on isotretinoin, my advice would be yes, you absolutely can, and you absolutely should try and do that, because for me it was an element of the fact that I needed to keep my mental health sane, so I had to do something to make sure that I was okay. But also just make sure to stay kind to yourself and appreciate the fact that your body is going through a lot and that you may not be able to do the things that you were doing before, but that's okay, because right now the focus is trying to get your skin better through this treatment and not trying to pursue like athletics or fitness goals. that is what I would suggest. And just try to maybe reframe your mindset and just think, right, I'm just going to move my body to try and help me feel better rather than move my body to try and be better, because that's where I really struggled, because I found it really hard to let go of the weightlifting goals that I had at the time. But I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do those because of the position that I was now in because of the treatment. So the next question I get a lot related to the isotretinoin and accutane journey and like fitness is the supplementation. Now I will give the advice that I received from my dermatologist. I went through a private dermatologist in London, so it wasn't like public healthcare. And what they advised me was that throughout your accutane journey, do not take any supplements that they have not prescribed you explicitly. So whilst I was taking accutane, I did take omega-3 fish oils every single night. And that was pretty much it. That and my accutane or isotretinoin tablets every single day. But apart from that, there were no other supplements that she advised me to take. She did also advise me to stop taking whey protein. Like if I was drinking protein, stop that, because there is a lot of research behind the fact that whey protein specifically can cause acne in some people, as well as other lactose-based products, like anything that comes from the cow was ill-advised, and I was told to like swerve that because it has been related to acne and acne problems. So at first, obviously I was absolutely devastated because I had tried other vegan proteins and they were all terrible, but I'm here to tell you that it isn't that bad, and that there are some supplements that are actually okay to replace whey protein. I use bulk powders vegan protein, and it really isn't that bad. The texture isn't that bad. The taste is actually pretty good. I do mix a frozen banana in mine because it gives it that little bit better of a taste, and also don't drink it with water. I drink it with oat milk, and that makes it better. I know that it's not whey protein, but it's just a small sacrifice to make, okay? To make sure that you are keeping the risks to a minimum when it comes to your skin. So as I said, all supplements were kind of off limits, and I did explicitly ask about creatine because I remember reading that when you take isotretinoin, your creatine levels in your muscles are depleted quite significantly. So I thought, I'll just take creatine to supplement with that. She told me not to do that. She advised me not to take creatine, and she explicitly said, do not take creatine. So that is what I would say, like all supplements are pretty much off the table unless you explicitly like speak to your dermatologist about it, and she obviously says that that's okay for you to take. Now I also did get a lot of questions about muscle loss and weight loss during the isotretinoin or accutane treatment, and I will be honest, and it's not the best news that you're gonna hear all day. I did lose quite a lot of muscle, and I did lose quite a bit of weight. I think I lost between 3 and 4 kilos throughout my treatment. That was mainly because I felt so tired all the time and didn't train as much that it was just natural like atrophy of the muscles. It is hard, and that is something that is really difficult to like process and accept, but I think now looking back on my journey and looking at how my skin has improved since then, yes, it is really hard, and I'm not saying that you're not going to struggle every day, because I did struggle every day, but it has been so worth it, and the rebuilding after the treatment has actually been an incredible experience for me personally, to prove to myself that I can do it and I'm able to do it. So it feels like, yes, that was a bad time when I did lose muscle mass and I did lose weight, but you can rebuild after that, and it's not just like doom and gloom afterwards. It's like a pretty steady comeback after that. So try not to be too disheartened, because it is something that you are able to get back afterwards, and that is just can be a side effect that happens whilst you are taking isotretinoin or accutane. Now, obviously, as a quick disclaimer, these are all personal side effects to me, and this is just me recounting what happened to me to share and try and help. This can be different for every single person, and your dermatologist may advise you differently. Now, what I would say is that obviously listen to everyone else's personal story, because it could offer some help or offer some comfort if you are experiencing the same things, but do just bear in mind that you should first and foremost listen to your dermatologist or doctor's advice, and anything that they say comes before and is way more important than what I am saying to you now. So obviously the main question is, how long did it take for me after my accutane journey, after I had the 8 grams in my system, to come back to my normal self? Now, I was on accutane for a year. Like, it took a whole year to get to the dosage I needed to get into my system, and I thought pretty much it was going to take a whole year to get back to my normal self, to make sure that it got out of my system. It took 6 months for me to feel like my normal self, and then another 4 months to get to a stage where I was able to do exactly what I was doing before, if not more. So After you finish Roaccutane, do just be prepared that these side effects do wear off quite slowly, so you will have a period of like 3 to 4 months where you'll still feel pretty much the same. But then after that is a very gradual but noticeable incline to the better. I'd say the biggest thing for me to share with you guys, for me, that I wish that I had known before, is that my explosive power didn't return till pretty much like 8 months after I stopped taking it, and that's when I became like more of an explosive athlete again. From then I found that I was like a lot more grindy, like a lot more of a grindy athlete, and very like slow, and it did take a long time for that sort of like the power cleans, the power snatches, all that sort of stuff to come back, which actually gave me a good amount of time to work on my technique and focus on other things. But it is something that you should bear in mind and just have in the back of your mind as like, that's why that's happening. It is also important to note that I remained extremely cautious with supplements that I took. So I still don't drink any whey protein. I still avoid pretty much most lactose ingredients. Like I'll just have oat milk, or like I'll just have dairy-free alternatives, because I feel better doing that. Like I feel more at ease in my mind. I have started taking creatine again. I do take beta alanine, so I do take other supplements. I take zinc and calcium tablets, I take omega-3 tablets. All of those things I like drip and drabbed back into my system to make sure that if I had taken something, that I would know that it is that specific thing that has caused that reaction. Just recently I started using vitamin C oil and hyaluronic acid, and I found that when I started using those, I did get spots on my forehead, but luckily I just started using that, so I knew that that was the specific cause. So I just stopped using it and use it like a lot more sparingly, so that I still get the benefits but I don't get the other side effects. So that would be my other tip. Is like, if you're going to introduce stuff after Accutane, make sure you introduce that one thing at a time, so that you can pinpoint if you do start getting any acne, that could be the cause, and you can just remove it, and you can sleep easy knowing that you've done the right thing by your body, and you're listening to your body, and you're seeing the cues that you need to listen to make sure that everything is okay. I guess I just wanted to make this video to kind of reassure you guys that everything does go back to normal. Yes, it is going to be a tough time whilst you are on the treatment. Naturally, it really is. Not just for your physical appearance, but for your mental health as well. It's going to be really tough, but just know that afterwards it is a pretty steady street, or steady road, or whatever it is, back to where you are. And that I would never change the treatment that I went through, because I feel my most comfortable, my most happy with the skin that I have, like my skin now. And it is really tough, but I wouldn't change it. So 1 year after Accutane, and that is exactly what I look like. I'm grateful every single day that I never had a relapse, and I hope that all of these tips and everything that I've said before kind of helps you if you are on your journey, after your journey, or wherever you are just thinking about it. Just know that if you feel like this is the right thing for you to do, don't be scared, and just know that you can obviously lean on me. If you have any questions, just message me either here, or you can find me on my Instagram, which I'll link up here, and I'll be obviously happy to help. And I'm wishing you the best of luck, and I hope that it all works out, and that you are happy and you feel comfortable in your skin, and that would be a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.